At exactly 5:42 a.m., Daniel Obick woke up to the sound of his alarm and the weight of a life he no longer recognized. He lay still, staring at the cracked paint on the ceiling of his one-room apartment. He'd meant to fix it months ago, just like he'd meant to fix everything else. At 34, Daniel's life had quietly collapsed. Not in a dramatic explosion, but in a slow, humiliating erosion. The job he once believed would define him had reduced him to a name on an email list. His savings were gone. His confidence had followed. Each day was a repetition of the last, ending with the same question he avoided. Is this all I'll ever be? That morning, as he got ready for work, he noticed an envelope slipped under his door. No stamp, no return address, just his name in careful handwriting. He almost left it there. Life had taught him that unexpected things were rarely good, but he picked it up. Inside a single sheet of paper read, "You are not tired because you are weak. You are tired because you have been carrying a life that isn't yours." Daniel froze. He read it again and again. The words followed him all day at work, echoing louder than the spreadsheets in meaningless meetings. That evening, another envelope waited. "You were once curious. You asked better questions. Somewhere along the way you learned to settle instead." Who was sending these? No one he knew was this close to his inner thoughts anymore. For the next 7 days, the letters continued. Each morning a new sentence, each one more uncomfortable than the last. You confused stability with safety. You delayed decisions because deciding would force you to take responsibility. You were living in preparation, not in action. The letters felt less like messages and more like mirrors, forcing him to confront a past filled with avoided risks and chosen comforts. On the 8th day, the letter was different. "If you want this to stop, meet me tomorrow at 6 p.m. Old railway calf. Every instinct screamed at him not to go. But a deeper feeling, one he hadn't listened to in years, told him this was a moment that mattered. The old railway calf was nearly empty when he arrived. He scanned the room and saw him, an older man, maybe in his late 60s, sitting by the window with calm eyes. "You came," the man said as Daniel approached. "You've been writing to me?" Daniel replied. "Why?" The man gestured for him to sit, because no one else would. Irritation pricked at Daniel. "You don't know me." The man smiled gently. "I know you better than you think. I know you because I used to be you." That's when Daniel saw the faint scar above the man's left eyebrow, the exact same scar he had gotten at 16 after falling from his bike. The man pulled out an old photograph. It showed 2 teenage boys, side by side, identical in every way. "I'm the version of you who chose differently," the man said softly. "The one who didn't wait." The cafe seemed to shrink around them. "This isn't possible," Daniel whispered. "It is," the man replied. "You just don't understand time the way you think you do." They talked for hours. The older Daniel spoke of risks taken, failures endured, and lessons learned just in time. He spoke of fear not as something to avoid, but as a compass. "Every meaningful change in your life," he explained, "will demand that you disappoint the version of you that chose comfort." Before they parted, the older man handed Daniel one final letter. "Read it tomorrow," he said, "and then decide." The next morning, Daniel opened the envelope that read, "Nothing is wrong with you, but everything will remain wrong if you keep postponing your life." That day, Daniel resigned from his job, not recklessly but decisively. He started rebuilding his life, slowly and deliberately. He learned skills he'd once dismissed and took opportunities he would have once ignored, accepting uncertainty as the price of a meaningful life. Years passed. He failed more than he succeeded, but for the first time, his failures felt earned. They felt like his own. One evening, decades later, now an older man himself, he wrote a letter. He folded it carefully, slipped it into an envelope, and placed it under a door at exactly 5:42 a.m. because he knew some lives don't need motivation, they just need permission.